University of North Carolina.
I went to Chapel Hill for a year in grad school. I had a really good ride there financially, and in fact, when I left, I had an NDA fellowship, which was a full ride for everything. I think they paid for everything. Unfortunately, I also had a 1A coming at me, so I made a list of things I thought I might like to do besides engage in a war I didn't believe in. I wasn't going to put on a uniform if I didn't believe in the war. I wasn't going to be a fraud about it like so many people were who got uniforms on who had no intention to get near the fighting. That was the big BS thing about the Vietnam War, which was there's lots of ways to avoid the military fighting, was to get in a uniform.
As a
that was no, how about like Navy, Air Force? Most of those guys, the guys who paid the price for that war obviously were the enlisted Army, enlisted Marines and Marine officers and PLCs, platoon leaders, and platoon leaders. Those are the guys that were targets, the poor bastards. I mean, these are patriotic guys that went into war after college and that were smart about it, and they did the right thing for themselves, and I think the country didn't serve them well.
What about the Democrats?
I see so much of this, what we're doing now. I see so much of it again. I think people hiding behind the military.
The Democrats.
They tell the military what to do, then they hide behind it. That's unbelievable. What about
the Democrats now?
I think you see Hillary starting to pay the price a bit for her war vote, a little bit. But Obama hasn't been able to land a really tough blow yet. He's not good at I don't think he's a good politician. I think that's his problem. And I think one thing we underestimate when we look at politicians, when we look at filling the presidency, there's such a thing as a professional politician. They're good at it. Bill Clinton is a professional politician. Tip O'Neill was, Reagan was. They're very good at it. They know how to shake off a blow. They know how to get through a bad week. They know how to take a blow and keep their good spirits up. They know how to exploit an opportunity politically, and they come out on top. It's a profession. It isn't just an ideal or a service or a chore. It's a profession, and some people are really good at it. And one thing we should look for in a president is someone who's good at politics, because in the end they have to lead the country. The president we have, our president, looked very good on 9/14. He had one great day at the rubble, and we thought, a lot of us thought we saw a gifted leader there, and that was not to be the case.
How did he get reelected?
He scored on the one question which people may not like, which was, who is capable of protecting you? And 49% of the electorate said only one person was capable of protecting them. And in other words, Kerry did a little better than people who thought he'd protect them. Right. It's an astounding number that 49% of people said that only President Bush could protect them. Only he could protect them. Without him, they wouldn't be protected by the other candidate. And if you think that through, it means that the president started with 99% of what he needed, and then he benefited from all the other automatic party votes that you get for just being a Republican or being a WASP or whatever the other reasons people vote, or a Southerner or a Protestant, or all those things are the way people vote. But he started out with 49 and then got all the others. Now, Kerry obviously benefited from a lot of people who grew up Democrats and couldn't imagine voting Republican, even though they thought that Kerry wouldn't protect them. Yeah. Incredible. It was security. They won on security, and because they fought the war, and the war hadn't turned horrific yet. And people still, in the polling, a lot of them thought that somehow Iraq had attacked us, which was not true. And somehow there were weapons there that somehow justified the sales pitch for the war, which wasn't the reason for the war. But so, no, one thing I'll take some pride in from day one when I saw this thing coming, when that first hand went up, when Wolfowitz raised that hand at Camp David right after 9/11 and tried to get us into Iraq that first week. I got a call from a friend of mine who was a friend of Colin Powell's, who told me what was going on. And I was hopeful then that the president, because he slammed them down and said, work through channels, that this was the end of it. And then I realized that the Wolfowitz crowd, they just kept pushing it, and Cheney kept pushing it. And they were enabled by Rove, the political people, to, it was an awful, perfect storm of people who wanted to sell us down the road to war.
What do you think about Rudy?
He's tough.
think he
He's
has?
nasty, and he's to some extent ruthless.
Do you think he has?
But that doesn't mean he doesn't win the whole thing.
Do you think he can win the whole
I think
thing?
he can win the whole thing. I'm alone among them. A lot of the media don't understand the Republican Party. They're all Democrats, a lot of the people I work with, and they're liberals in their background. And so what the mistake they make is they think Republicans are like Democrats, or they're portrayed. All they care about is abortion. That's not true. That's not true. It's not what they think about all the time. Some do. The active political people in the Republican Party want to win. They want to beat Hillary. And most importantly, unlike Democrats who want a meeting, Republicans want a leader. Democrats don't really want a leader, per se. They want someone to run for president. But ask yourself, do they want Hillary to be their leader? Think it through primordially. Do you know any Democrats who want Hillary to be their personal leader? No, no, no. They want to put her in that spot. Republicans look for leaders. John Wayne, Ronald Reagan, Dwight Eisenhower, George Bush in the beginning. A leader. It's a concept, an anthropological notion the Democrats are clueless about, because they don't really want a leader. They want to get together. They want a consensus. They want to be collegial. They want to have a meeting. They want all the interest groups to get together, but they don't want a leader. Was Bill Clinton a leader exactly? Or was he sort of a big brother? Sort of a big brother, softer. He had problems too. And if you're talking about Rudy Giuliani's 3 marriages, let me ask you this. Nobody cares how many Mexican wives John Wayne had a problem with. Nobody cares. Because he had a very interesting marital life. They were mostly all Mexican women. He had a penchant for it, and then he would have problems with, or they would have problems with him. But nobody cares. You don't understand. I'm just saying this to the world. They don't get it about the Republicans. They want a leader. And that's why Rudy can do it. With all his problems and difficulties and nastinesses and ruthlessness and all the bad stuff, Democrats would say, oh, that's awful. And Republicans would say, yeah, it's awful, but we need a leader. You know, I think that's what's interesting to watch. But Romney, I looked at the new lineup. The new lineup is Iowa, of course, the New Hampshire, all within the first week of January. And then very quick, Michigan, and then Nevada. I can see Romney rolling a 4 there, 4-0. I can see him going 4-0, because the kinds of people that leave Massachusetts to go to New Hampshire tend to be tax conscious, not necessarily pro-life, but they will like Romney in his style. And they're not all Yankees anymore. They're much more mixed. But I think they're going to like Romney. Rudy can do okay, but I think Romney could well win Iowa, where he's put all his money and troops. He could win New Hampshire. Then he could win Michigan, where his father was governor and his mother ran for Senate. And I think he's identified with to some extent. He grew up there, Bloomfield Hills, I guess. So I can see him rolling those 3s. And then I see him going to Nevada, where there's so many LDS, so many Mormons out there. Lots of them in a small Republican state. I can see him doing that. So I can see him rolling into Florida with 4 big ones behind him. Then I think Wyoming's in there. He could also do well. I'm not sure Wyoming is exactly Mormon country, but that part of the world is. And I think it's tough for Rudy to then come back in Florida.
What about California?
Rudy will do well in California if he's not trumped in all those early states. But it's interesting. First time I saw Michigan, I said, oh, that's a big and ethnic state with a lot of suburbs. They're going to like Rudy. And I thought, well, this is a particular case here of
hometown boy.
Yeah, and family connection. So it looks like Romney looks like he's got the upper hand as of this week. But I'll hold on to my Rudy bet, because I like being right, and I've been saying this for a couple of years that he's the guy to watch. And of course, I want a fight between him and Hillary, because I'm not sure he can stand up to Hillary. I think you might see a Nixon-Kennedy situation. I wrote a book about Nixon and Kennedy, where Nixon was very tough until he got in the room with Jack, and then something wilted, and something wasn't there. And it's always great to see these people together and see if they rattle each other. And maybe Rudy gets rattled by Hillary. Maybe he's the elephant afraid of the mouse.
Maybe.